everyone and welcome back to Game Vent. My name's Ethan York.
And my name's Justin, GameSage Borras.
And today we have our first official video. PlayStation 4, Xbox One. Let's compare the two. First we're going to start off with Justin Borras to tell us some quick specs, just what the console looks like, etc.
Alright, let's start off with the basic overall design of the one. So, it is a very boxy console. Alright, let's just get that out of the way now. A lot of people were complaining about it, griping about it, said that it looks like an old VCR, but you know what, now that I have it here, I've played it, it's in my hands, I actually like the overall design of it. So I'm going to pick it up and show you guys around. This little button over here, that's how you turn on your Xbox One. Over here, you got your slot where you put your games in and out of. No more disc trays.
Yay, thank you, Microsoft.
Definitely. So over here you got your little eject button. Just go ahead and get that a quick tap. Pops it right out. On the side you have your
sync button.
Sync button. Thank you. That allows you to, you know, sync your controller. Obviously it took me 15 minutes to figure out how to sync my controller. Yeah. So over here you got your USB 3.0 slot that allows you to plug in your playing charge kits. Unfortunately, it's only got one, so you're going to have to kind of make do with that.
I guess that's why they call it the Xbox One.
Haha, puns. Anyway, on the back of the one, these are all, you know, your slots, HDMI slots, you know, TV out, stuff like that. One thing I do like about the one that the PS4 unfortunately doesn't have is the fact that you have an HDMI in. Now what that'll allow you to do is actually plug in your TV to your Xbox One. So you don't have to go ahead and, you know, switch from your TV to your One. You can just plug in your cable box straight into the back of your Xbox and be able to access your TV that way.
It's also kind of cool, any console or anything in general that uses an HDMI, you can plug that into the back of the Xbox One. So say you're fortunate enough, like us, to have both consoles, you can actually plug in your PlayStation 4 into the back of the Xbox One and essentially play your PlayStation 4 on your Xbox One.
Very, very nice if you ask me.
Yeah, I agree. It's a pretty nice feature.
So let's go over some specs about it. The Xbox One does have a 500 gigabyte hard drive. Now, a lot of people would say that's not a lot, but to me, that's a lot. That's a lot to me, but you know, whatever. So, the Xbox One also does not come with an upgradable or, you know, switch out hard drive like the 360 did. So that's a little bit unfortunate, but again, I personally think that 500 gigabytes is more than enough for me. It does come with 8 gigabytes of GDDR3 RAM, so it's going to run pretty fast. It does come with a game DVR. One of the cool things about it is you can actually say Xbox record that and it'll record up to about 30 seconds of your last gameplay. However, if you do want to access more of your gameplay footage, you can actually go into your game DVR app on your Xbox One and access about 5 minutes of actual recorded footage. So it does require your games to mandatorily be installed. You know, but you can play it after about 25% of the download. It does not allow you to store data externally like the 360 did, which is unfortunate, but you know what, 500 gigabytes, you're not going to fill that up in, you know, unless you download, you know, every game you can possible at once that's out right now, but I don't see that as being a problem right now. Again, it doesn't have the replaceable hard drive, but you know what, that's neither here nor there. So let's go to Ethan for the PS4 specs and stuff like that.
First off, what I want to say is the PS4 is probably one of my favoritely designed consoles out of any console that's really ever been made. It's very sleek when you lay it down, or you can stand it up. Unfortunately for me, my TV stand has a shelf, so I can't stand it up, but you gotta admit, this thing looks pretty dang awesome when you stand it up. Let's talk about some quick things about the PlayStation 4. Unlike the Xbox One, it does have 2 USB ports. Not sure if they're 3.0. I'm almost certain that
they are. I believe they are 3.0 actually.
So boom, look at that. It's got one more 3.0, you know, USB on the front instead of on the side, which in my personal opinion, I'd rather have them in the front than in the side, but
I'll agree with that.
What else do we got around here? One thing I don't like about the PlayStation 4's design is, you know, you could see what the PlayStation 4 looks like, and there's this random gloss spot, which in my personal opinion, gloss is just fingerprint magnets. That's all it is. So, you know, you can see I got a couple fingerprints on there. I would have much preferred the actual console just be this material that's made right here. But hey, I'm not a professional designer, the people at Sony are. Maybe they know better than I. On the back here, we got all your standard cables. We got an optical audio port, which is very nice if you're using a 7.1 headset. Your power cable, which by the way, doesn't have a power brick, unlike the Xbox One. Your slot for the PlayStation camera, which we'll get to in a little bit. Ethernet cable, which if you still use wired internet, come on now. And it looks like an auxiliary port right here. Obviously you got some HDMI cables and what have you. Let's talk specs, shall we? PlayStation 4 also has 500 gigabytes of hard drive space. Unlike Justin, I don't agree that that is enough. When you have games, I know this is an Xbox exclusive, but when you have games like Forza Motorsport 4 that are running close to 50 gigabytes in overall space...
It is a big game.
If you downloaded 10 of those, and I'm assuming as games get higher graphic, their storage is only going to go up. So not only your download times are going to go up, you download 5 games that are worth 50 gigabytes, look at that. Your 500 gigabyte hard drive is now completely stuffed with games. Personally, for next generation, I would have preferred they used a terabyte, but hey, it's $500 for this one and $400 for this one, so what are you going to do? Overall specs after the hard drive has been discussed, it does have 8 gigabytes of GDDR5 RAM, which is a step up from the Xbox, but graphical-wise, it's not much different. But Justin does have a quick bit of information on the difference between the two RAMs, which we will discuss right now.
Alright, so the main difference between GDDR3 and GDDR5 is your overall frames per second is just going to go a little bit faster on the PS4 than the Xbox One. A lot of people, would find that, unfortunate, but, like Ethan was saying, if you put the two images over each other and, literally, went back and forth, unless you were, a hardcore gamer that, also had a PC and you could just tell graphics like that, it's not going to be that noticeable to the average gamer. So, other than that, to me, it's not that big of a difference, other than the PS4 does have a slight advantage. It will run anywhere between 17 and 33% higher frame rates than the 360. But again, to the average gamer, the graphics on these machines are both just absolutely amazing. So
also, another thing about the two RAMs is that the GDDR5 RAM allows for more items at the screen for the same time. For example, we will get to the Need for Speed test that we did later on in the video, but what's cool about that is that there's more leaves blowing in your face. It allows for more items on the screen at the same time, which is not a big difference, but it's cool and it's nice to have extra firepower when you're arguing with your friend about opposing consoles.
Fortunately, I cannot argue with that, so yeah.
Boom. Next, what we want to talk about is controllers, because honestly, that's almost as important as the console itself. It's what plays the games. So we have the PlayStation 4 controller, which I will admit, it is better than the PlayStation 3 controller, but I am not sure that the PlayStation 4 controller is necessarily as good as the Xbox One. Some people will disagree with me. Unfortunately, me and him both agree about it. What do you know? So, new features about the PlayStation 4 controller that you will notice right off the bat. You got the GamePad. Excuse me. GamePad, which allows you, originally I thought it was some kind of touchscreen LCD screen that allowed you to display mini-maps. Unfortunately, it doesn't have that, but wouldn't that be cool?
It would have been nice.
They also have speakers here, which is a bit odd. Personally, I like it. Unfortunately, I have people in my house that go to bed early, so when sound is coming out of the speakers, there is no volume button, but it's a nice touch that allows you to get more immersed in your games. The only game that I know on PS4 at the moment that uses both is Warframe, which is a PC and PS4 exclusive. If there are any other games that use them that are out right now, let us know in the comments section down below. We'd really appreciate that. But the best thing about this controller overall is down here, the 3.5 millimeter headphone jack. This is a huge advantage over the Xbox One controller. Considering that Microsoft always wants to brand everything themselves and they want extra cash out of everything, they made their own talkback cable. With the PS4, they allow you to use the 3.5 millimeter headphone jack, which is absolutely wonderful. PC headphones and microphones that you used before that you didn't really know what to do with, now you can use them for your PS4 until you can afford some Turtle Beaches or something like that. So what about the Xbox One controller? Tell us about that.
The Xbox One controller, It's not too different from the 360 controller, honestly. However, I do actually like the feel of the Xbox One controller a little bit better than the 360 controller. And actually one of the things I like better about the One controller than the PS4 controller are the triggers. Now, don't get me wrong, neither one of these controllers are overall bad. They are both great for, you know, your systems and great at what they do, but the triggers just feel a little bit smoother than that of the PS4s. Again, we were testing it out on Need for Speed Rivals, and I just found that the 360 controller just felt a little bit smoother while playing it. So I really like that. You know, the shoulder buttons, they're a nice feel too. The actual Xbox symbol kind of moved from the middle controller to the top of it, which is fine. The joysticks, they have these little grips on the One controller over than the 360 controller.
I do like the grips.
I do, actually. It's a very, very nice feel. Button presses are very, very smooth. And the D-pad on the One controller is a vast improvement over that of the 360 controller. I really did not like the D-pad on the 360 controller at all, and overall I actually feel like it has a better feel than that of the PlayStation 4 controller. I use the D-pad over the joysticks whenever I play Killer Instinct all the time, just because of how much I like it. One thing that they did change about the Xbox and PS4 controller is these buttons right here. They got rid of the start and the back buttons. Now, this one is an options button. It'll bring up your options, stuff like that, and your, I guess it's a home screen button?
I mean, I guess. I'm not really sure what that one does. Basically, they do the same functions. They're technically, to me anyway, they're still the start and select buttons that they were. Unfortunately, though, on the PlayStation 4 controller, if you're playing a first-person shooter, you probably aren't going to want to play it on the PlayStation 4 for one simple reason. To check your scoreboard, where it normally is now the share button. So if you accidentally go and try to check your scoreboard, you're going to record the last 15 minutes of your gameplay, and that's a no-no.
Very true, very true. Alright, so when we talk about the headsets now.
The headsets, alright, well, you personally hate the PlayStation 4.
I do not like it at all, but, you know, to each their own.
My personal opinion is I love the new PlayStation 4 headset. It's different without being dumb, and of course he thinks it's dumb, but I think it's awesome. I like how it's similar to that of a headphone that you can comfortably wear while you're listening to music on your phone, which I do constantly. Unless you shove it very far down your ear, it's quite comfortable. I wish they would have added some rubber to it. Instead, it's just nothing but plastic. But hey, what are you going to do? And obviously, like everybody can tell, it's just one 3.5mm headphone jack, not some fancy USB wannabe talkback cable thing that the Xbox headset has. Speaking of that Xbox headset, why don't you whip it out and show us what it's all about?
Alright. So this is the Xbox One headset. I like it better because to me it's more comfortable than the PlayStation 4 headset, because whenever I use headphones like that, you know, listening to music or, you know, talking on the phone or whatever, after about an hour it really starts to hurt the inside of my ear. Which this one, you know, it's just like any other headset. You just put it over, you know, and it does feel to me a lot more comfortable than that of the PS4. It has this little foam, you know, headset part right there. You know, the microphone is nice. The one thing I do not like about the One headset is this little connector right here. It does have some cool stuff on it. You got a mute button and a volume up and down button on it. But
the mute lights up.
It does actually. But you can't use any other headsets right now other than the official Xbox One headset, which is kind of a drag because, you know, I'm not sure if they've actually released any Xbox One headsets yet. I know they're planning on Turtle Beach is planning on doing that, but for right now, this is pretty much your only option, whereas the PS4, you can pretty much use whatever headset you want to.
Also, in the argument of comfortability, if that's even a word, the part that went over his left ear, when that sits on my ear for a long gaming session, as I am indeed a long gaming session gamer, that starts to not only be uncomfortable, but it even hurts a little bit. And I can understand another thing I don't like about both headsets, and this is why I prefer over-ear actual headphone headsets, is because say I'm watching something on Netflix with my friends. If you have one of these things in your ear, it blocks that ear from hearing anything, and you have to, you know, turn up your TV volume louder, making your friend hear the volume coming out of your TV, which is quite frustrating, but it's a headset that comes with the console, so what are you going to do?
I can understand that.
Yeah, it's a bit frustrating. So now what we are going to talk about both consoles is the features that are specifically new to this generation. We don't want to talk about stuff like, hey, this Xbox turns on, that's wonderful. Specifically features that are new to this generation is what we're going to cover. I think I'm going to start with the PlayStation 4 first on this one.
Okay.
This one does have voice commands. Now, to first start off with everything, the only reason, at least Microsoft fanboys like to say, the only reason the Xbox One was $100 more expensive was because of the Kinect. In sake of argument, we added the price of the PlayStation camera to the PS4, and it is still $40 cheaper than the Xbox One. When you add in year memberships to both PS Plus and Xbox One to their individual pricing, the PS4 is now $50 cheaper than the Xbox One. Now let's talk about why the PlayStation camera is cheaper than the Kinect camera, in a sense of pricing. So, the PlayStation 4's camera is quite nifty. And honestly, the only thing I use either cameras for is not, you know, motion control games, which I don't think PlayStation 4 has any out right now.
I'm not sure, actually. I know it can. They use Move, but I'm not sure if they have any right now. Well, maybe, I think Killzone Shadow Fall might, but maybe. Don't quote me on that.
Maybe. Both cameras do allow you to sign in with face recognition software, which to some is a bit creepy. To me, it's awesome.
I love it.
You know, personally, when I get on the Xbox One, it says, "Hi, Ethan." I'm like, oh, hi, Xbox. You know, the voice commands, they do have, you know, you can navigate through the dashboard with voice commands on both the PS4 and the Xbox One. They don't have as much commands on the PS4 as they do on the Xbox One. And I would say the camera's audio quality isn't as responsive as the Xbox One's Kinect, but it pretty much does the same job as long as you know, you're on its good side that day. I don't think the PlayStation 4 camera really does anything other than allow you to navigate through the dashboard at the moment. But Justin has a whole lot to say about the Kinect because the Kinect does a whole lot.
It actually really, really does. So, one of the cool things about the Xbox is, you know, when I mean, you can literally say, you know, Xbox on, it'll turn on. You can say Xbox turn off, and then you gotta say yes after that, but it will turn off. You can literally say, you know, Xbox do this or Xbox do that. One of the unfortunate things is that there is a very specific list of commands. So unless you know, kind of have those commands memorized, you're gonna say, you know, a lot of things that, you know, you wish it would work. So that's kind of one of the things I wish it would have. You know, there's a thing that you have to say Xbox use a code instead of, you know, Xbox, you know, like scan
a code or type in a code or something like that.
Something like that. It has to be very specific, but it's still very, very cool.
It is very cool, I agree.
Right, and I can just be like, Xbox, go to Netflix. It'll go straight to Netflix. So all that stuff is really, really cool.
Now, one thing I do want to talk about the PlayStation 4, this is more of an argument like that, you know, if you're getting into an argument with a friend, or in this case, your brother, about the two different consoles, this is an argument that's going to be brought up quite a bit, because it has to do with the money. So, the PlayStation 4 does not require you to have PS Plus to use apps like Netflix, you know, all those other video apps that are basically YouTube in a different skin. You know, Crackle and stuff like that. You do have to have an internet connection, obviously, but you don't have to be signed up to the yearly payment membership of PS Plus to use those features. Now, I'm not sure why you would necessarily use a PS4 or an Xbox One just for those apps, but it's a nice little argument point that you can point out to your friends.
It is an unfortunate thing. For Xbox, you do have to have Xbox Live in order to use pretty much any of the apps on there. I mean, don't quote me on that, but so far in my experience, I have yet to seen anything other than the disc-based games that you can play and use in offline mode.
Like with the PS4, even if you don't have a PlayStation Plus membership, you can still download games from the marketplace and play them single player only, of course, because PS Plus is now mandatory for all online capabilities in terms of games. But you don't have to necessarily have a payment subscription to Xbox to use your other paid subscriptions that you can use on the Xbox. Although I think PS Plus is a bit better deal than Xbox Live. One, it's $10 cheaper a year, saves you the money. It also gives you free games each year, which was a huge deal on the PS3. Currently, the Xbox 360 is the only console that gives away free games on the Xbox side. I'm sure the Xbox One is going to do their whole games with gold soon.
Eventually.
But PS Plus, for now, obviously doesn't have much to give away, considering there's like legitimately maybe 13 games out right now. But
it's still better than, you know, what the Xbox One has right now, and you do get some pretty good games right now for free with PS Plus.
And the reputation that PS Plus has, I know for a fact this month you get BioShock Infinite for free on the PlayStation 3. Meanwhile, all the people on the 360 are like, yay, I got Halo 3, which, in my opinion, is not a comparison at all. BioShock Infinite, greater sign, Halo 3. That's just my personal opinion, at least in price-wise. One's worth $10, the other worth is $50 to $60 still. But there is a lot of cool things about the Xbox that I think you have to say.
Alright, so let's go back to the voice commands and the Kinect. First off, with the Kinect 2.0, I was kind of hoping for better, you know, quality in terms of reception of, you know, your body motion and stuff like that. Me and Ethan were playing Kinect Rivals, I think, earlier today, and
oh my god,
we either just really suck at that game, or the Kinect just hasn't been upgraded that well to, you know, adapt to your motion controls.
It's crazy how it's meant for a 6-year-old, and 6-year-olds can figure it out, but they can't figure out how to play games like Skyrim, and us, we can play games like Skyrim, but we can't figure out something that's meant for a toddler.
I'll never understand it. However, one of the cool things is about the Kinect 2 is with games like Rise, Son of Rome, there are points in that game where you can literally just shout out volley or charge or, you know, something like that, and your the NPCs in that game will either shoot a volley or they'll charge or, you know, other stuff like that. Now, you don't have to say these voice commands. There is a button that you can press to do it, but still, it's pretty cool to be able to just sit there and say that kind of stuff while playing a game, which is, I think it has an overall better just quality when it comes in terms of gaming over the PS4 in that sense.
The convenience of the voice commands in Rise, Son of Rome, for example, is much better than actually pressing the button. For example, you could say fire volley, or you can hold LB for 10 seconds and get shot in the meantime, which, in my opinion, I'd rather say fire volley, even though there's people in my house trying to sleep. You know, it sucks that you can't just, you know, tell your friend on, you know, your AP or your NPC on Rise, be like, hey, chop that fool, and he doesn't do it. But I mean, there's still cool commands like, you know, cannon fire, or, you know,
I forgot about that one.
Yeah, a lot of cool stuff in that game. It was implemented very well. By the way, that game is halfway decent. We might have a review soon.
Oh, no, I think that's one that we're going to have to do very soon. That game is gorgeous.
Comment down below if you want to know about Rise, Son of Rome in a future video. One of the unfortunate features about this console war is, even though you can use voice commands on the PS4, the developers really only take advantage of the Kinect on Xbox One, probably because it was a big deal when Xbox One was revealed. It's like, Kinect 1 or Kinect 2.0 is mandatory, you know, it comes in every box, blah, 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 blah. They made it a big deal, so developers are more aware about it. You know, you have games that can use voice commands on both systems, but developers only really do it on the Xbox One, which is, in my opinion, it's kind of unfortunate.
Well, I think a reason for that was because, you know, the PlayStation camera really wasn't pushed as far as the Kinect was. Exactly. So developers got to jump on the whole voice command thing right off the bat. Whereas the PlayStation camera, while still good, was more of an accessory as opposed to a required thing.
Yeah. Another thing I want to talk about in relation to the PlayStation camera. The PlayStation camera, like I said, it does voice commands, but it does voice commands with a dashboard very well. And I think that transitions very well into our topic about just the two dashboards. My personal opinion, I was a big fan of the Xbox One's Windows 8 type feel. It felt very familiar to me, so I knew right off the bat what to do. It took me about a half an hour or so to get used to the PlayStation 4, but I like the PlayStation 4 one a lot. For example, they have this really cool feature. Xbox might start doing it. I don't see how they would, but it is a cool feature that I hope they implement in future operating systems. If you're highlighted on a game and you go down, you just hit the down button on the D-pad. Not only it changes your background to that game theme, it takes you to the exact spot in the store with no loading times. Tells you how many achievements you have, all your add-ons you have, all the add-ons you could have, because spending money is wonderful. Anything that you could possibly do with that game without actually being in the game, all you got to do is press down on the D-pad. Even has special music to go with it, because why not? The Xbox One interface is very Windows 8-like. You're not a big fan of Windows 8, but I know you...
I'm not. No, I'm not. But I really do like this dashboard. In fact, I was a bigger fan of the Xbox One dashboard until I actually looked at the PS4 dashboard.
Yeah.
You know, you were showing me, and I was just like, oh wow, this is really cool.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not going to say one is better than the other. They are just different. They are both amazing for what they do.
There's no really where to compare the two. I mean, they do the same thing, but
in different ways.
Yeah.
You know,
it's like comparing like a truck to an electric car. I mean, one gets good gas mileage. You can't really compare the two, even though they do the same thing essentially.
This is true.
One is for different types of people, and the other is for another type of people. So, I mean, maybe you like the Xbox One dashboard better than the PS4. Maybe you like the PS4 dashboard better than the Xbox One. It really comes down to your personality. If you like very flamboyant colors and squares all over the place, then the Xbox One dashboard is right for you.
You can change your colors. So,
his is purple pink.
I like purple. It's not purple pink. It's purple.
It's pink.
Anyway, so... Alright, so used games. Both of these systems, fortunately, will be able to play used games.
Thank you!
Thank God for that, because when Xbox One talked about the release and the whole family share system, that thing was cool, but the whole fact of, there being a used game feed, my God, they caught fire for that, so...
The poor went crazy.
Yes, they did. Yes, they did. So, another cool thing about these systems is, when you upload a video and stuff like that, they have two very different ways of uploading videos.
Well, to starters, which one do you think you like better? Like, just let's get our opinions out of the way before we go straight into the facts.
The PS4 records more video. That's just a fact. It records up to 15 minutes. At maximum, the Xbox will record 5 minutes, and you have to actually access a separate screen to get to those 5 minutes instead of just viewing your 30-second clip that the Xbox does for that.
All you gotta do is press a button.
This is true. The uploading for PS4 is very straightforward. You just do it, you upload it. Whereas with the 360, you have to upload it to this thing called Upload Studio. And then you can upload it from there to SkyDrive, and then you can put it on Facebook, that kind of stuff.
The cool thing about Upload Studio, sorry for interrupting, is the fact that you can add some kind of color corrections and effects and stuff like that. Some of them are very cheesy and kind of dumb, but a lot of them are kind of cool. You have this one, it's called like Arcade or something like that, where it kind of shows around like a modeled arcade, and then it shows your gameplay on an arcade thing. So if you were playing a game like Killer Instinct or Mortal Kombat, that would be a wonderful thing to upload straight to your friends.
Another thing you can do with the Upload Studio is you can actually edit it to the point where you can have kind of like your gameplay video, like kind of come down in like 4 different kind of stripes. I believe it was called stripes, but also have your face and stuff like that playing in the background. So I thought that was a really nice touch, and I thought that was really cool. So overall, I'm gonna say I actually like the upload features of the Xbox One rather than PS4. But I do like the length of the PS4 over the Xbox One.
I like the PlayStation 4 because for some people, for example, they're trying to start a gaming channel. They just dropped a ton of money on the PlayStation 4. They want something to start doing gameplay commentaries. Very simple. All you gotta do, say you record a game of Call of Duty, because that's like the most popular thing on YouTube, unfortunately. You upload that. You can upload it straight to your Facebook. I don't think there's any other option but to upload it straight to Facebook.
I don't think so. Or maybe YouTube. I think there might be a YouTube. I know Xbox, once you have it on SkyDrive, you can upload it to Facebook or YouTube.
Well, what you could do, if you were decent at editing, you could upload it to Facebook, download that video, bring it into your editing software, add your own commentary, compress it, because it's probably 70 million gigabytes, and then upload it straight to YouTube, and bam, you got 1 million subscribers in 7 years.
It is very nice. So, we're kind of drawing to a close on these comparisons and stuff like that. Some of the other things that we want to touch on, which I think we didn't get to, but we'll get to now, is the Xbox 360.
Xbox One.
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. You're right. Okay, my bad, everyone. The Xbox One does have the integration of Skype. which is really, really cool.
It's definitely a plus.
Yeah, it definitely is, because I mean, you can use it for game party chat or anything like that, or you can just sit there and literally just video chat. You know,
I would say the reason that it is a plus on the Xbox One is because the party chat on the 360 or on the One, I did it too. It's contagious.
It happens.
The party chat on Xbox One is awful, in my personal opinion.
I will agree with that.
The voices sound a lot more, say, like digitalized.
It's echoey.
It's very echo. Well, the problem with party chat or Skype, well, there's lots of problems with the Skype thing. The only main problem is that it doesn't mute yourself in game if you're using Skype. So say you're playing a private match in Killer Instinct with your buddy. If you're using Skype, not only will you hear his game chat, you will also hear his Skype voice. So there will be a bit of an echo. But the party system is more based on you playing games at the same time. Like, whoever's hosting the party, whatever game they're playing, they call that the party game. And whenever you get into games, it automatically, like, invites the people in your party. It's a bit of a hassle, but I do like Skype. One, because video is kind of cool. And unless it starts automatically and you're not necessarily expecting it, then it's kind of weird. But other than that, the video chat's very cool, as well as I prefer Skype over party chat, unless you're playing the same game. Then you kind of have to use party chat.
Another feature of these two things, which we also didn't touch on, is the fact that they are both Blu-ray players. The thing about that is that the PS4, you pop a Blu-ray in, bam, it starts playing. With the Xbox One, you have to download an app. I mean, it's not that big. It's literally just an extra 15 seconds of, you know, your life that you're, you know, going to waste away, but whatever.
But, I mean, if you're, say you're on vacation or something, say you're at Grandma's house and, you know, she hasn't heard of this thing called a TV, and, or, you know, just like a DVD player or anything like that. If you didn't have the Blu-ray app installed in your Xbox, you're like, hey, let's go rent a Blu-ray. I want to watch this movie. You pop it in, it says, oh, wait, you got to download something. And then if she doesn't have internet,
screwed.
With the PS4, you pop in a Blu-ray disc, bam, you're done. It's just like the PS3. You just pop it in and it's all natural. I mean, you pop it in and it's all natural, and that's all you really have to do with the PS4. But there is an extra step on the Xbox One, and if you're not in an area of internet connection, you're going to have to wait until you get to the nearest internet connection.
I think one last thing to kind of touch on, or last two things, stuff like that, is, you know, there are a lot of collectors out there who want the biggest and the best systems and all this other stuff. Where the Xbox One does have a day one launch edition. Unfortunately, as far as I know, there is no launch. Yeah, there is no launch edition of the PS4. Now, I mean, you can go on eBay and people will claim that they are, but really, there's no like determining factor that I can see of right now that really separates a day one edition PS4 from
well, the only difference between the day one edition of the Xbox One and the regular edition of the Xbox One, there's no differences in the console, unfortunately. There's nothing on here that says day one 2013.
But the controller does,
which is quite cool.
It says day one 2013 right there.
So really, it makes the controller more of a collector's item than the console, which I mean,
it's true.
I guess is kind of cool. Maybe in like 50 years it'll be a collector's item, but for the most part, there will be nothing different about this day one console. I mean, it came in a day one box, so that's got to count for something. But, you know, compared to another Xbox that came out of a, you know, a regular box, there's really no difference. That I can see anyway. I mean, is there anything evident on here?
No, not at all. Not that I can see.
Yeah, but one last point that we want to drive home before this video comes to a close is we did do a graphics test with the same game. I have Need for Speed Rivals on both the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4, and we played them not side to side, but we compared the two. And considering that this has to do with RAM and a bunch of other stuff that usually relates to computers, I'm going to have Justin take this one.
Alright, so when we did compare these games, there really was not that much of a difference in terms of graphical quality. Both these games look absolutely gorgeous on both of these consoles.
I agree.
So, really, it comes down to being if you're going to be nitpicky or not. I guess, you know, you could say the PS4 looks a little bit smoother than the 360, but again, unless you're an elitist, and I know you're out there, you're not really going to tell that much of a difference. Where the PS4 definitely has an advantage, and the GDDR5 of the PS4 does come into play, is the fact that I noticed there was a lot more leaves blowing in on screen on the
like
PS4.
Dirt and stuff on the camera.
Exactly. There's a lot more of that going on than on the One. And again, unless you're nitpicky, you're really not going to notice stuff like that. But that kind of shows you where the GDDR5 comes in from the PS4 over the One. So, other than that, you know, like I said, very, very similar. Graphics are absolutely amazing on both consoles, but, you know, it's just those little tiny details that come about it.
Now, the last thing we say before we close, and I know I've said this about 3 times on our last couple topics, but we do have to say that the hardware advantage does go to the PlayStation 4. But if you're looking for the absolute most fun possible, because of the developers putting voice commands in most of the Xbox One games and not in the PlayStation 4 games, the fun factor does have to go to the Xbox One.
I know you fanboys out there, you know, for the PS4 are going to hate that, but, you know, I mean, me and my brother love both these consoles. We're absolutely happy with them, but in terms of overall gaming quality, because of the voice commands that the One does incorporate, and, you know, hopefully the PS4 will get there soon, but for right now, we're going to have to say that the overall, I wouldn't say best gaming experience, but the funnest so far, because of the voice commands, does go to the One.
And I do think, because Sony does have a track record of absolutely amazing exclusives, that eventually the fun factor will, I think, tip over in the PlayStation 4 side.
I agree.
Due to the fact that their exclusives are just unbelievable. I know last generation, Heavy Rain, for example, not a lot of people thought that game was fun, but it was absolutely just, it was an absolutely insane gaming experience. Something.
The Last of Us. The Last of Us. That was another amazing one.
Exactly, and you know, a lot of people don't want to miss out on games like this. So if you're one of the people like me who in the previous generation missed out on huge quality games because you had the 360 as opposed to the PS3, I would, if you really want all the exclusives because the hype is too real, you should probably go with the PS4. That's my personal opinion.
It is cheaper. It
is cheaper, and if you... So, again, just quick price fact before we close. Xbox One, $500 flat, but it does include the camera. That's why this one doesn't include the camera, and it's $100 cheaper. But if you do add in the camera in this, it is $40 cheaper. But even then, if you add in the PlayStation Plus membership on top of everything on the camera and the console,
total price,
it's only $10 more expensive than the Xbox One without a membership.
However, if you do throw in the membership of the Xbox One, which you're gonna need Xbox Live
for everything.
Exactly.
The only thing you could really do on an Xbox One without a membership is play single-player games. You can't use any of the apps. You can't, you know, you can't download games. You have to, you know, you have to do everything with the Xbox Live membership.
Overall total price. Xbox One is going to run you about $560.
With membership and the Xbox One console.
Right. PlayStation 4, going to run you about $510 for the PlayStation 4, the camera, and 1 year of PS Plus. So overall, PlayStation 4 still wins the price point.
Unless you buy it on eBay before Christmas, then the price just, it's all over the place.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. Anyway, I would like to thank you guys for visiting GameVent if you've made it this far in the freaking video. My name is Ethan York.
I am Justin GameSage Borras.
And we hope to see you in our next video.
Thank you very much for watching.